Hi, everyone. Coach DeMarco here with another episode of Get Better Basketball Live. Today, my guest is Coach Adam DeBaggis from Bishop Fenwick High School in Massachusetts. Coach DeBaggis is one of the most successful coaches over the last 10 years in the state of Massachusetts. He won the North Championship in both 2016 and 2018, multiple North Finals appearances, and a state championship in 2016. Each and every year, his team is one of the top competitors in the state, and that's why I'm so excited to have him join us today. Another Get Better Basketball Live is up now. Coach DeMarco here with Coach Adam DeBaggis from Bishop Fenwick High School in Massachusetts. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Good. I'm excited to have you join us. You're one of the coaches. I've had coaches on from all over the country, but I've coached against you, and I know what a great job that you do. And I know a lot of times we scrimmaged each other earlier in the year, and it was a great opportunity for my players to really play against the top quality programs. So I'm excited to have you with us tonight. And I guess to get started, we're going to get into team culture a little bit and some zone offense later on. But your program, since you took over about 10 years ago, has been at the top of the state. I feel like every single year you guys are going into the tournament, and people are looking at Bishop Fenwick as a contender for a state championship. So I want you to be able to share with coaches how have you built that program over the last 10 years?
Well, first I should say that I kind of miss coaching against you. You guys had the same. You had a great program at Hamilton Wenham. But I don't know. I think early on, first of all, I think developing leaders and creating a culture is probably the most important thing about a team. You can have talent. I've seen teams, and we've beaten teams, which is actually a point of pride, as a coach and our team, beating teams that we feel sometimes have more talent than us. And I feel like we do it sometimes because we care more about each other, and we have better leaders and better leadership. And that's not me. When I say leaders, I mean the kids, the players. And if I say girls tonight a lot to the coaches out there, it's because I coach girls, and that's why. But that to me is I think it's the most important thing. When I first came to Bishop Fenwick, I was a JV coach for 3 years, and I felt like the culture was not great. Girls would stroll into practice late, and there would be no real discipline for not working hard, no real discipline for having a bad attitude. And I knew, even I was young back then, 20-something years old, I knew even then I didn't like that. I mean, this is not right. I must have had good coaches along the way that taught me, something about culture and attitude. And, I knew that needed to change. And my first year was 2011. And that was one of my first big things was to change that. And that was actually tough. Even though I was the JV coach for 3 years, I had some of the same kids that I just coached that were now on varsity, and they still resisted that early on. But, it took a little while. But now, I think sustainability as far as culture is concerned is based on the kids and their willingness to teach each other the right way to do things. Because in the end, coaches only can do so much. We can only talk, blow a whistle. We can't really do much else other than that. The kids really are responsible for how they act, if they hold each other accountable, things like that. So I, first of all, been lucky to have the kids that are willing to do that. And I think a lot of that's, we can choose kind of who we want to keep. And we know, and I definitely have sort of kept some players off that I knew didn't have a good attitude. I think sustainability of a program has to do with the leadership, and I hate using the word captain. I don't use the word captain for leadership because anyone could really be a leader. But for us, it's been the players passing down the way we do things to the other players and them accepting it. And, that's what I've seen in our program, and I'm really proud of that, actually.
Coach, when I hear you talk about, building a program and sort of the culture, I came into a very, very eerily similar situation in my program, and I know how challenging that can be. So, credit to you for being able to do that. And what would you say are some of the important, factors in order to change that culture? And then kind of the second part of this is you talked about leaders in the program. And that's one thing I've noticed when I've seen your teams play is leadership isn't just one or two players. It's right down the bench. You guys have built that culture. So as you talk about building culture, I'm also interested in how have you developed or helped those players to develop into the leaders that I see when I watch your team play?
You've got to get the leaders, the best seniors to understand that they are integral in making the program better for years to come. I mentioned Colleen Corcoran to you before we came on, and the seniors I had in the year we won a state championship, they were just so good. Colleen, Ellen Fantozzi, Sydney Brennan, just some names of kids that were just unbelievable leaders, but they knew, and I told them this, but they also got it and grasped it. We had some really good freshmen that year, for instance. I told them, I'm like, these girls someday will be great leaders because of you, and that's sort of what happened. We had those girls that were freshmen our state championship year were great leaders last year, and again, it's the kids teaching the kids, the players, because, if I'm a 15-year-old, 14-year-old high school player, I'm not looking up to my coach. I'm looking up to the senior. No one cares what you and I think, or maybe they respect us, of course, maybe they don't, whatever, but they certainly respect that senior that just got a scholarship to wherever, and not even the scholarship that matters. They just respect that person because they play hard. They respect them. They have a great attitude and enthusiasm. So for us, and I think for anyone, it's got to be the players teaching the players, and they got to take ownership of that. One of the biggest things, like lately for us, I try to do a lot less talking and a lot more letting the players take ownership of the practice, take ownership of the games. What do you guys want to do? This is your team. So again, I find myself lucky to have had players that are willing to do that, but I think you really gotta, I think it really comes down to first, boosting up the right people and then getting those people to understand that the way they act and the way they lead just boosts up the whole program going down the line. You got to take pride in that,
The first year we actually, I think it was my first year at Hamilton One, maybe my second year. I think it was second year. I started the Patton tournament, and you guys played in it that first year. And I remember scouting your team, and one of the things that immediately stood out to me, obviously great X's and O's, great on the court, high IQ, but the way that you guys came together in situations. And I was scouting you guys against another team. It was an adverse part of the game. You hit some adversity, and your players just grabbed each other. They're in a free throw situation. You guys huddle up, and I saw one of your leaders, who I think went on to play in college too, just just getting into them a little bit in a positive way, and they're all clapping, and then you guys come back, and you didn't even call a timeout in that situation. Your leaders kind of stepped up, and that always resonated with me, and how your program, how your players play and how you coach them. How do you empower players to do that? I see your team huddle up at the free throw line. I see your team really cheering each other on, and you've really built that. And this isn't just 1 or 2 years. This is over 10 years that you've been able to sustain this. So how do you empower the players to do that? Because not every player has those leadership qualities. It just seems like you're empowering them to be able to take the lead in those situations.
We do a little bit for sure, and you're right. There are some kids that we've had that they can go either way. There's kids that will be great leaders or have good attitude no matter what, and then there's kids that have bad attitude no matter what, and then there's kids in the middle. And I think a lot of the kids that we've had in the middle, the kids at the top have pulled them up. It's funny you said pulled them in. Literally, I think we had a girl who was drifting away from our huddle post, or pre-free throw huddle, and she just pulled her in. We try to harp on the point. We just don't allow bad attitudes. Sulking is a bad attitude to me. Pouting is a bad attitude. One thing I would say though, something we've done the last couple of years definitely is, I think people skip over this, is we teach or we spend a portion of practice early in the preseason literally practicing how to cheer on the bench, or how to, when someone comes off the court, you stand, you high five them, you give them a little boost of confidence. We teach actually getting in a huddle, because I think sometimes coaches say that stuff. Hey, you guys got to be enthusiastic on the bench, all right? But you don't show them what that means, This year in particular, because we've always done the huddle. Actually, we had, the huddle before a free throw actually came from a former player at Fenwick who came back from college, and she said, we do this. And so we, I guess just having connections to college kids helped us learn how to do some of that stuff too. But this year, or maybe it was the year before, we taught them, and we talked about what you actually say in those huddles. What do you say? Like, do you say, hey, you got a rebound? That's not constructive. You might say, hey, next time that happens, you got to help. Next time that girl drives baseline, you got to help quicker. No big deal. And we tell, hey, everyone knows we don't take stuff personally. We're all in this for the same thing. We want to win. We want to have a good team. So we just teach that stuff. And I think people skip over that. They say, some coaches might say, you got to be enthusiastic on the bench. Well, what does that do? That's like saying, you got a ball fake against a zone. Well, are we going to practice that? You got to box out. Are we going to practice that? Yeah, like anybody can be, say stuff, but I think a lot of things you got to practice. And then, the little things like team unity, we do some of the corny, I call them corny, but they really matter. Take 5 minutes into practice and do some weird little drill that just involves team unity, has nothing to do with basketball. I mean, you're talking about 5 minutes, and 5 minutes that might make your team closer. And when it comes to a 49 game in the fourth quarter, that stuff matters. So I think you got to teach it. You got to harp on it. You got to really genuinely let your players know that you care about it, that it matters. Show it on film. There was one year, the year we won a state championship, we were, playing poorly, and this girl that never played, she was on the bench cheering, the rest of the team was sulking, and we showed that to them on film. Like, look at this girl. Why don't I, she should play more. She deserves that. She cares. So I think all those things, all the things you do with X's and O's, you can do with culture and leadership. Teach it, drill it even. And I'm not talking about, in an hour and a half practice, you don't drill culture for an hour and 25 minutes. No, 5 minutes. Teach kids how to cheer on the bench, what to say from the bench, things like that.
That's great stuff, Coach. I mean, just thinking about, teaching players how to cheer on the bench, teaching players what to say in the huddle from a culture standpoint, because, these are players who are in high school. Some of them as freshmen and sophomores that can be varsity quality players, and they don't know how to be leaders. So to do those little things and teach them how to be enthusiastic on the bench, it does go a long way in those close games. And we did some of that stuff with our team as well. And I can say firsthand that it does make a difference. And you mentioned watching film with your players and highlighting some of the things that, really are positive for the culture. So I know that you mentioned you have a couple of clips today that you wanted to share with us. And I'm excited about that, because I've seen a lot of X's and O's, but to see some team culture-based clips, game film, is going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. And, we do this with the team sometimes, but as I told you before, I'll show you, Colleen Corcoran, who I mentioned to you, or I mentioned her a couple of times. She just finished a career at Lemoyne, Division II. got a scholarship there, and she was a 2-year captain there, junior and senior. Again, feel lucky to have coached her and feel lucky to know her. But now she's going on to be, no surprise, she's going on to be a coach herself at Albany. But she was, in her senior year, she was one of the best players in the North Shore, if not the best player. All right, so here's just some, plays. This is again from a year we won the state championship. But really, if you're watching this, focus on the bench more than anything else. This girl jumping right here is the girl I was just mentioning, Colleen Corcoran. She's already got a scholarship at this point. We're already winning this game by 30 at this point, or 25 or something. Side note, we actually, some people kind of got mad at us for cheering like this when we were winning by this much, but I didn't want to stop the girls from being so enthusiastic. Once or twice in this year, I had a coach come up to me, "Oh, coach, a little bit too enthusiastic." I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to tell the girls to stop. Anyway, all these girls, but the bench, most importantly, standing up, engaged in the whole game. I have really good assistant coaches too, by the way, and they really get on these girls. I mean, besides Colleen here, who just can't stay seated. She just stays engaged the whole time. My assistant coaches really harp on the idea of keeping the bench engaged, and we just really try not to allow sulking. Again, there's our leader right there, loves it.
And that really, that leadership that she's demonstrating there, I mean, that really, for the younger players watching her, and like you said, it's the end of the game, and that enthusiasm, it's infectious, and it really spreads to those other players. And, just seeing them on the and one layup there too, they all jump up off the bench. And also, I think that has an impact. I know you mentioned some other coaches saying, making comments about you're overly enthusiastic. I don't even know if that can be a thing, but I don't think you can ever be too enthusiastic. But, I think that weighs on the opponents too. When they see that excitement and that energy that you're bringing, sometimes that deflates them a little bit too. So that's really cool to see.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, look, that's how comebacks happen, right? The momentum's a real thing. And, that matters. And even it's actually funny, a couple of years ago, we were losing a game big. We had a bunch of girls injured, losing a game big, but the girls that were out there were playing well, and the bench was going crazy. And the other team looked at us. We were losing by 30. They looked at us like we were crazy. They looked at our bench like, what the hell are these girls cheering about? It's like, hey, we just want to play hard all the time, want to be helpful to our teammates all the time. Just real quick too, this is Colleen. This is our best player. Again, can't say enough, but she drew 22 charges this year, 2016. This girl played at BC, Marnell Garrard. She's going to take a charge right here. Boom. 22 charges she took. We also practice taking charges. We don't do it a lot because, there was like a injury risk there, but we do practice running to our teammates when they're down. As you can see, you just said the word deflating. This team right here, St. Mary's, they're deflated. Our team's all jacked up. Our leader just drew a charge. So it's stuff like that really, I think motivates a team, as you said. It's a momentum thing.
And when your best player is willing to put their body on the line, I remember hearing this clip about Bird back in the days on the old Larry Bird video. They said, if he's willing to put his body on the line, then you better be willing to do it too. And for your best player to do that, that sends a message to the rest of the team. And that's a great culture, obviously a great example of the culture that you've built.
It's funny. I wrote that down. That was in that. I wrote Danny Ainge about Larry Bird, and the best player is doing it. You got to do it. You got to fall in line. What are you going to do? And it's so true. I mean, now that, I've experienced that. As I said, we have kids coming off the bench. What do you do? Everyone stands up. Hey, again, this is the girl I was talking about, never played. She's always in people's ears saying constructive things. Hey, good job. Good job. And it can't be fake. That's one of the things we really try to harp on. It can't be fake. Your enthusiasm for each other cannot be fake. I mean, it can be. You're just not going to be a good team. And I think most of the kids really want that. They want to be good. They want to be good teammates. This one I love because watch the bench. This is just a jump ball that this girl creates, a jump ball. Great play. Bench loves it. I love little stuff like that. It's like that's the stuff. And people, I don't know what, you can call me something. You can call me a wimp or whatever for loving that. I watch film and I see that. I'm like jacked about it. And I think that, again, helps too. I think, you as a coach genuinely excited about stuff like that. After I watch, I care about this stuff. Just one thing else I wanted to mention was that, one thing I really try to harp on as a team, I tell the kids that the best teams that I've ever coached have a great level of working hard and having fun. You can't work too hard and have not enough fun. You can't have too much fun and not work hard enough. You gotta have fun. I always tell them winning is fun, but you have to work hard to win. So figure that one out, But anyway, I wanted to just show this clip. This is pregame. It's so funny because early on in my career, I used to watch stuff like this. I'm probably sitting like just right behind them or right where the camera is. And I'm watching this. And early in my career, I'd be like, they should be getting more serious about the game. I played football like yourself. So, before a football game, I was listening to Rage Against the Machine and getting ready to hit people. You got to get ready for a game. But then I realized, you know what? This is different. You got to be loose before a game too. So you got to accept stuff like this, and you got to tell them it's good. It's good to have fun. But once the game rolls around, you got to be ready to play. So I guess that's the last one I had for that. On that note, I think that's huge, having a great balance of having fun and working hard. So
yeah, tons of great clips in there, Coach. And I love the last one because I think I had a little bit of that as a younger coach. I was 27 when I first became a head coach, and when I think about my first year to my fifth year as a head coach, and just the transition and maybe loosening up on some of those things. And the end of practice, we used to do a knockout competition or half court shots and just things I picked up along the way. And we just had, as opposed to like year one, we're like running full court sprints or something. So, we had some fun, and I think that really, resonates with the players. And that's another thing that's so important, when you're building a positive culture too.
it is. And it's hard for us, I think, especially, again, we're probably similar personalities in the sense that we believe in hard work and playing hard and all that, but you got to loosen up a bit, and you got to let the kids know that you loosen up a bit. Developing relationships is so big with the kids. They have to trust you, because I teach, we got to trust each other. We got to trust and accountability, and being a parent or something, and you basically lie to your kids all the time and what they're supposed to trust you now. Like, no. Water out of a beer glass, by the way. It's not beer.
If it was beer, it'd be even better. Summer. Yeah, it's a summer. So, Coach, as we bring this to a close, I have to ask, you've talked a lot about team culture and gave a lot of positive, thoughts for coaches and things for us to think about. What do you think it is that most defines your team and your culture, and that's really most important to you and to your players?
I know this sounds corny, but I love the fact that they care about each other and each other's success. I love, one of my favorite moments, the fact that we have a huge alumni game. They all come. The girls who have graduated come and watch games when they're back from college, all that, and they, talk to the girls. I sincerely love that, they develop friendships through our program. And, I think the fact that the girls care about the program, care about each other, that means a lot to me. And I'm proud of that, and winning is connected to that. I wouldn't be very happy if we won a state championship or something like that and my team didn't like each other. That wouldn't make me happy. And maybe it makes some people happy, but they love each other. They enjoy the experience. They come back. They're proud to be Fenwick basketball players. I'm proud of that.
And I think that is why you guys are so successful and why you win the state championship. It is that genuine care that your players have and that you have for your players as well. And I just want to thank you for taking time to talk to us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I love it. And throughout, the last few months, I was looking forward to it. Fuels me. Haven't had a chance to coach or talk about coaching at all.
I know it's been great. It's been great being able to talk to so many great coaches and obviously having you on tonight. So thank you again. And I look forward to doing this down the road.
Definitely. Thank you very much.